Uh,
Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. The major problems we found, as I said, was the glaring gaps in the demand and supply, right? And that was due to either pure matchmaking or low asset utilization, right? So there was no ecosystem existing which was functioning of the end, which was taking care of the entire logistics cycle, which was also a major problem for the driver partners. Usually, porters at Porter we call our drivers as partners because they are equally investing in this business. They have a huge asset which is attached to the platform, right? So the driver partners had a problem on their side is that they were not they were having a huge fixed cost, that is the EMIs and the maintenance etc. of the vehicle, while they also had very low utilization as low as 25% of their asset. So in any logistic industry, if you talk to people, you'll see the major profitability comes when your asset is used at the maximum. Right? So that is the problem which Porter went ahead to solve for. They went to make sure that the assets were managed, the platform, the ecosystem was built in such a way that the assets were managed very efficiently. The gap by bridging the gap between the demand and supply.
Sorry, if I may interrupt there quickly.
Yeah.
So we spoke about like Porter being this matchmaking player who, creates a better asset utilization for the partners, create meaningful work, etc. But what is the other end? Like, what kind of logistics do you actually do? What kind of goods you are actually moving, and who are you moving? Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, we don't have a limit to anything specific. So we offer a huge Pandora of services and all the intra-logistic domains. You can move anything from a two-wheeler till a 407 and above the canters, whichever, run inside the city, right? We also have services like packers and movers. People in Bangalore and all the other metro cities will be able to relate to this, right? Having a very reliable packer and mover service is a pain.
Does it even exist?
So we are, as I said, we are trying to move everything that is legally allowed to move inside a city, from as low as a 20 kg parcel or even below, right? Using a two-wheeler asset to as huge as almost 5 to 6 tons in a 407 or a canter vehicles.
Okay. Interesting. So one of the problems, talking about still early days, right?
Yeah.
One of the problems I actually see is that you have a way of identifying the supply side of the market. You have a way of identifying the people, getting them on board, etc., etc. I'm sure getting them on board itself is something we should actually talk about quite a bit.
Yeah.
You can see so many problems there. And with respect to customer, did you go after like a specific market segment in the beginning, or you kind of went after?
See, 80% of our business comes from our SME customers, right? The middle and the small scale and the middle scale businesses or the industries, and there are some individual contributors also. So since I'm speaking about the market we have targeted, the problem there exists is they cannot, have the luxury of having in-house transportation, right? Because they have an average life cycle of 3 to 5 years and to scale up, and they cannot have the luxury of maintaining an in-house transportation, which affects the distribution, right? Because any industry, any business, the backbone is distribution. And once you have the distribution in place, you can scale. So Porter made sure that we provided that, that platform where all these kind of businesses could be, you could trust Porter saying, okay, whenever I just open the Porter app, I can find a vehicle on demand, irrespective of planning or irrespective of the demand which comes at the end moment, right? So they were always confident enough saying, yes, I just have to have an app in my phone, open it, and Porter will definitely send a vehicle to me.
Yeah, makes sense. There is another part. I mean, I know like we'll get into the technology part of it. There is another thing I was super curious about, right? General interest in startups, especially logistics startups, is unlike, let's say, other B2C models of intracity logistics, in your case, the usage frequency is how high was it for these B2B customers, or was it spread out as how, like, is it like weekly? Is it monthly? Is it like daily?
Yeah, we have average use cases as low as 3 per weeks, right? Because
Okay.
as I said, it depends on multiple things. It depends on, because our customers are spread from all the way as low as an individual retail user to all the way as SME who are using us almost daily, right?
Okay.
So it's a very low frequency thing for retail customer. Like me and you, we term them as retail customers, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you are moving a sofa once in 6 months or
Yeah, I use Porter once in a year or so. Yeah. But I do use it because when they
yeah.
have these problems, I don't know where else to go. It's always
Yeah.
Porter.
Most of the customers like you and me have, may have discovered Porter the moment IKEA was opened in Bangalore, right? Then like, oh, there is something like Porter which actually addresses our use case, right?
Yeah.
So go down to IKEA, find something interesting and you just book a Porter and that is delivered at your home.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing, man.
And
Amazing.
then there are MSMEs like small scale or middle industries, right? Mid-size industries which are transporting goods day in day out to intercity logistic halls or etc. Right? So they are our high users.
Got it. Okay. So it makes sense. So basically you have partners with different sizes of vehicles and different, abilities of like moving different kinds of goods. You connect them with people who have requirements of moving probably not the like really small items, but like goods, a big, medium size and large size goods from one location to another within the city. And
Sure.
that's basically what you actually solve for. And you try to get that in like a few, probably like on demand
Uh,
rather than planned.
Yeah, it is on demand. And additional to that, we also move a lot of smaller goods. Like as I said, we offer two-wheeler as a category, right?
Got
So
it.
which move even if you miss your lunch box or your charger or something at home, we will deliver it back to your office, right?
Interesting. Interesting.
And this has also helped us to integrate with B2B industries, right? There are food industries, there are maybe a canteen or a small what do you call eatery which wants to like kitchens, right, which wants to distribute their things. They are tied up with us with the API solutions which we offer, and they are also happy with the service.
Makes sense. And in this case, your customer is basically the business. I mean,
Yes.
the individual retail customer talks to the business directly. The business uses Porter to do the
Yeah,
log.
I'm handling their logistics. I am handling the distribution business.
That's amazing, man. Okay. Okay. I can totally see how a lot of small businesses who don't have enough volume and frequency can
Yes.
use a service like this at an aggregate level. You still get the same experience.
Right.
Fantastic.
Right.
Probably this is a good segue to talk about where you guys are at this point. Like, how big is Porter right now?
Yeah, we are in 18 plus cities in India, which includes all the major metros and the tier 1 cities like Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Hyderabad. We are we are just expanded into cities like Jaipur, and Jaipur, then we have Kolkata, we are going to Kochi, etc. So by end of 2025, we plan to be present in at least 35 cities, including tier 2 and tier 3.
Amazing.
I think just to add more numbers there, you have given a product manager to add numbers, so let me add few more. So we have onboarded almost 500,000 partners on our platform, that is 5 lakhs, right?
Wow.
And we have serviced around 10 million customers. Yeah.
And this is not like the thing what impresses me is this is not like the food delivery service or a customer facing service. It's like at least for the most part, you guys are like a B2B service, and you have 500,000 partners who are actually doing this. It's fantastic. Wow, that's crazy. Now coming to the main part of the conversation, right? Now managing these things across 18 cities, You spoke about different types of vehicles. You spoke about different, I'm sure we'll get into the type of people also, which is very interesting in the case of Porter. Different types of vehicle, different kinds of use cases, different cities, and you are able to scale this probably in the last 8-9 years, right? Now, how does the technology part of Porter come into play over here? Talk to me about that.
Sure. As I said, let's consider the MSMEs and the SMEs, right?
Right.
What they need, right, from a platform like Porter is two things. Right? One is visibility, and the other is sorry, and liquidity. Right? There are two things. Visibility is I'll just give an example. Right? We are not an industry which is moving the actual customer. We are a platform which is moving goods which is valuable enough. And you have to trust Porter as a platform that it will move that good from location A to location B without without the need of you being tense, right? So visibility forms the very basic requirement on the platform. So we have a lot of tech involved there, like the tracking systems, right? So we have multiple user personas. There may be a separate booker. Maybe I am booking the service, being the owner of the SME or MSME, and there is a sender who is actually working as a logistic manager or etc., who is loading it into the vehicle, and there is a receiver who may be a customer or maybe even some logistics manager in some intercity hauling kind of an industry. Right? So there are different personas. So we need to make sure all the personas are informed, over communicated, the tracking links are available. The visibility to the customer is there when the vehicle is going to reach his particular, I mean, the loading point. What is the fare which we are going to charge? Right? The distance, I mean, a distance related fare or the time related fare. What is the availability of multiple waiting, the times which we charge, right? Because it's not like the vehicle comes, the person just loads in and moves, right? There's good amount of time which is spent in loading, unloading, etc. If the industries are really big enough, there may be problems where the vehicles have to wait for the gantry to be free. So there are so much of frictions that can appear in this kind of a transaction. So visibility forms a very, very major thing, and we make sure that these visibilities is provided to our customers. So all this information is given on the app. They can track when the vehicle reaches their pickup location, when the pickup is done, what is the ETA for the pickup, etc. Followed by where is currently moving towards the drop location, when the drop is over, etc. Right? And who has to pay? There are multiple things.
So, got it. So, yeah. So just to kind of get a sense, right? So in this case, you have partners who are independent workers. They're not on your payroll, right? And it is not like they work only for you.
Right.
So they do other things outside, right? Yeah. So which is very different. Like the people, when they see the Swiggy, Zomato of the world, we think that everything is tracked, which is like very straightforward, etc. That we face being in this industry is that when you have partners who are not like full-time working for you, it is very hard for you to create that trust. The same way, there is a customer who doesn't use you 10 times a day or like 10 times a week even, but probably uses you like once in 2 weeks or once in a month or whatever. Again, creating that trust is going to be like super, super hard. So the visibility part kind of brings in, so you probably have to go to that extra mile to make sure that every single touch point with respect to the customer, partner, the booker, that like the owner of the probably consolidated owner of the vehicles, the vendor, and everybody is kind of like on track, super appraised of what exactly is happening with that particular order.
Correct.
And you're also like putting the environmental factors, like let's say like there is poor network connection, there is like vehicle on the move, or somebody doesn't, you have like the right phones. Oof, the number of variables there is.
Yeah, right. when you speak about the phone, etc., right? There is huge amount of effort spent operationally as well as the technology involved in training these partners to make them understand how important they are in the whole chain, right? In this whole transaction that is happening. So we
Right.
need to make sure they have the right phones, they have the right settings on their phones, so that we don't just have a partner's phone missing in between the transactions. Right? So that's a huge process which we are handling.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Now, you also spoke about something else. One is
Yeah.
visibility.
After visibility, there's a second thing which I wanted to double click on. That was the liquidity part of it, right? So liquidity is something, as you called out, right? We need to make sure to build that trust in the customers. We need to have lot of supply liquidity on our end. That is when a customer comes on a platform, when he is 100% sure, right? When I open a porter app, when I request for a vehicle comes to me, right? Because just imagine a scenario where I have to send something really emergency dispatch to Mumbai from Bangalore or etc. And I'm really struggling to do the last moment packaging, etc., etc. And there is a bus which is going to leave from the bus stand, which starts at 8 p.m. and still I'm trying to make the last moment changes in 6:37, right? I'm still confident enough that there is porter, which once I book will take that material down to that intercity logistic hall and it will be delivered to my customer. Right? That's the trust. That's the liquidity we need to have on this. And to have that liquidity, we need to make sure we do the right allocation to the right partner, have a lot of filters, have a lot of pricing filters, strategies, etc. So that it's not only about having supply liquidity, it is also about fulfilling those orders. We may be having a lot of supply with us, but if the partners are not interested in taking up that order, it makes no sense, right? So we need to have right levers in place. We need to make sure whatever order is sent out, the drivers, partners are accepting them, they are fulfilling them, and it's a smooth transaction.
Okay. But that kind of raises the question. The moment you have more supply liquidity, you also tend to hit the utilization.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great problem to solve for, and that's one of the major target I'm, for me to solve in this financial year also, in the coming financial year. Sorry. So since we are in March, we are already planning for the next year. So for this utilization, as I said, we have a lot of allocation filters. We have our partners who are driver partners who associate with us in different scale, right? There are driver partners who are 100% dedicatedly working on a platform where they know they can get that extra income just being dedicated to a platform. Then there are driver partners who have, as you rightly said, day in, day out milk runs, etc., which is already existing, and they use porter platform as an extra source of it, as casually, right? So we need to have these tech in place where we filter out these kind of partners, make sure that the utilization of a dedicated partner is higher compared to a casual partner, and create that bias, create that difference, and keep both the sides happy, right? It's a win-win situation for everyone.
Got it. So, I mean, there used to be this thing we used to work on. So basically you have a standard utilization that actually happens. You tend to hire enough people, or you tend to recruit enough people. In your case, tend to partner with enough people to make sure that you are able to hit the standard amount of utilization that needs to be hit. And anything more than that, you have like a flexible liquid part-time partners who are actually on board, where you utilize them wherever the peak actually goes up. Right.
I mean, throwing some tech jargons here, we can have some predictive demand, which we do over the year. Like, this is the number of orders we are going to get on the platform. This is how we are going to market or solve for discovery, etc., which will bring in this extra demand. And this is the current utilization of my asset. This is the average earning that happens to my dedicated versus a casual partner. Depending on that earning, what is the extra onboarding I need to do, or if I need to stop the onboarding, etc. So there are different signals set up in the system. Whenever the systems throw out a signal saying, we need to onboard, we have different strategies in place. A huge shout out to the people on ground, like the city teams, etc., which have teams like feet on street. We call them as feet on street, the FOSs, right? So they really hustle to get liquidity in places where we find there's a gap between the demand and supply. Then there are seasonality, right? There are a lot of seasonalities in place which we have to deal with. Like there's something like a Diwali, etc. People tend to buy. There are a lot of retail customers on the platform. There's a lot of demand for the supply even outside the platform. Right? So there's a lot of management we need to do operationally as well as the tech-enabled signals providers.
Interesting. So you have like a prediction engine, which kind of goes into the planning part.
Yes.
To basically do all the planning based on that. Once the guys actually come in, you have probably a real-time matching engine, which will match the new requests to the partners. And once a matching engine actually fits and the matching actually happens, then the trust comes to play, the actual product actually comes to play, so that they accept faster, they reach faster, the delivery process smoother, like people waste less time standing over there, then the process actually gets completed. Interesting. So I want to double click on the matching algorithm part. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So as I said, right, we have supply liquidity, we have demand. So we have the two ends of the problems. Now to the heart of the solution, that is the matchmaking, right?
Yeah.
So as a customer, I would like to have a reliable, a reliable service. I like to have a consistent service.
Sure.
I like to make sure that the vehicle which is coming to me has quality in it, right? And
the right size of the vehicle, I'm sure.
Yeah, the right size of the vehicle. So we start with taking the requirement from the customer himself. So it's though it looks pretty simple, but even getting the right requirement from the customer is important to this system, right? For the matchmaking system.
Yeah.
To educate the customer on the on the app, what is the size of the vehicle, what is the weight that vehicle can carry around. Do you need something like a helper where my driver will help you in loading and unloading, right? If you are a retail customer and you want to move a sofa, but there is nobody to haul that sofa into the vehicle, you just get a vehicle, it's useless, right?
Yeah.
So collecting the right requirement from the customer is the start of the journey. Once you have this requirement captured properly, making sure to match that requirement with the liquidity of supply I have. Our algorithm runs to, I said, right, we have 500,000 partners onboarded. So we need to divide them into cities, we need to divide them into categories, we need to divide them into hyper local / or the zones and clusters, right? Zones, clusters, filter them out. Once we filter out all the supply, then with the limited cluster supply zone, we need to filter out the right requirement that is matching with the customer requirement, right? Is the driver ready to help? There are drivers who don't want to help. There are drivers who are ready to help. So we have settings on the partner app also. So on the partner app end, we need to capture the vehicle type. We need to capture what all interest the driver partner has to give as a service. Then once that is also captured, the algorithm makes sure we match these kind of the requirement versus the supply. Once the match is done, then we need to be more aggressive to find out who is the closest. Right?
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense for me to allocate a driver partner 3 or 5 kilometers out of the requirement zone, because he is doing inefficient driving, right? Which is contributing to the carbon footprint, etc., etc. That's a different.
That's a real thing. When you have 500 partners and you're doing like millions of orders, obviously this adds up quite a lot. Yeah,
exactly. So filtering out to that right exact partner, set of partners rather, I would say, not the exact one, set of partners. Then the system starts broadcasting this to multiple partners. to check whether they're interested. The moment they show their interest, they are allowed to accept. Once they accept, they are given all the information. Even before accepting, they are shown the information so that they do the right decision while accepting that order, rather than keeping them blind. So as soon as we broadcast to the partner is shown all the information, like where is the pickup, where is the drop, what is the ticket size of the order, what is the distance of the travel he has to do for that particular ticket size. If there is, if the area is congested, are we adding any extra benefits of the extra pricing, the surge pricing, which is called in the industry usually? Are we adding those kind of prices so that the partner is not at a loss, while also making sure the customer is not burdened with too much price, right? So pricing also plays a huge role here, so that neither the customer cancels the order nor the partner declines the broadcast. So once the allocation is done with creating a batch of partners, we make smaller batches and we start broadcasting these requirements to the partner. Once he has accepted it, he's shown all the information where to navigate. Once he reaches the pickup point, he is shown the rest of the navigation as to where is the drop or the delivery point, etc.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Imagine these things happen within 2 to 3 seconds.
yeah, exactly. It has to, right? How often do you update this algo?
Sorry?
How often do you update this algo?
There is a huge engineering team which just works on this.
I can imagine. Yeah, of course.
Right. So there's a huge platform team which is just working on updating these algos, making it more efficient, solving the tech debt. Apart from the on-call guys, I'm not even considering the on-call guys. Imagine this algo breaks. It's not only porter that is suffering, all the customers, just the the user story which I told, right? All the customers who are dependent on porter for that last minute delivery or on demand delivery, it's like a blackout. It's like a electricity blackout in their industry.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, so it's there is an interesting few things you actually jotted on, right? Like the one end is like the technology part of it, which we spoke about. The other end is the underappreciated folks on the ground.
Sure.
Who actually make this happen. Like the partners is one, but there are also these operations teams, I'm sure, is going through hell every single day to kind of make the ship run in the right track. So talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, these people on the ground, are that small cog in the machine without which the machine doesn't run, right? So they help and give your ML, your AI, all these jargons work when they have data points.
Yeah.
Without data points, none of them work, right? So these are the sources where give us data points. So when we have to expand into new cities, there is a huge survey done, this huge market research done by these folks on the ground. There is a new city launch team which goes into every city before we launch. Then there are city offices in every major city, developing city, etc. Right? Everybody has a specific role. There are people who are working on customer demand generation, identifying the new service that we can provide to make sure that porter is that one platform which every customer has to come on for all their logistic requirements, right? To identify the gaps which which we are not yet servicing, to identify new markets, new industries where we can actually push porter into, which generates demand. Right? Then, as I said, they also make sure that depending on that particular zone, particular cluster, we need to onboard multiple partners. They go to these partners, they explain them what porter is, they have to convince them why they have to join porter, train them, onboard them with the help of a lot of technology, of course, but they are the front face of porter there, right?
Yeah.
Apart from that, we have a lot of surveys done. Our team make sure that they conduct very regular voice of partners, voice of customers, etc., to understand what my product, the current product which we offer, have gaps in or need improvements in, or if they are facing any issues, or even some good ideas come out of this. So we have very regular VOP VOCs, that is almost once a fortnight sometimes, right? And these feedback loops come to the product team, they come to the technology team, where we appreciate that we understand what is the pain point, we understand how many people are actually, this is where the qualitative analysis comes from, right? Then you can back it up with data, etc., quantitative analysis. But unless and until you have a qualitative analysis in place, the quantitative analysis is just hypothesis for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I hope I did justice to bring their hard working, into a
It's very much
description.
hard. I think like the folks who run operations are the most underappreciated across industries, because they only come into the picture when things break.
Right.
Everything goes great, everybody else takes a credit. Only when things break, they are actually.
Yeah, I mean, I would take this opportunity to even upload my customer service, right? Because customer service is a very integral part in Porter system. We have a dedicated 24/7 customer service because, as I said, visibility is a major thing. We need to answer every call that comes when there is something in order or in transition. Be it a customer, be it a partner. We need to make sure Porter is available and solve any kind of friction that arises.
Yeah.
So that is also a part of the operations team that handle these kind of frictions.
Yeah. Very real.
I mean, as a product manager, it is our role to have those frictions as less as possible. But there are soldiers who are handling currently for them.
Yeah, that's true. But so me, when I used to run products, so one of the things I used to face is across all the companies, that no matter how well of a rapport you have with the business teams, there is always friction coming in, because the very operations is a very high stress situation, right? So how do you manage that relationship with your business teams, and how do you navigate that from a technology team to business team point of view?
I think this is a universal product manager question. The way we try to solve this problem in Porter is getting some frameworks in place. Maybe this can become a GAN kind of system, but I'll try to add it at Porter level. So as you rightly said, business has a lot of numbers to track, right? Their neck is online because they are the ones who are committing those numbers.
Yeah.
So in my next plan, business has committed a number. We are going to grow by X, or our orders are going from X to 10X or 20X or whatever, right? And they actually give the PNL, which is going all the way to the board, right? So when business is responsible for giving PNL, they are going to be hard on them, right? Now, there is where the whole role of product manager lies in, right? So when there is people hard on one side, there is a lot of tech debt to be solved, or problems like whether the system can handle it, whether we are solving the right problems. Because when the business folks come really hard on us with requirements, they sometimes miss that vision. They sometimes miss that, I would say they have some short-sightedness, because they have a problem on their hands. They want it to get it solved, rather than trying to understand what is that quantum of the problem. It's like somebody is not able to onboard a partner in some city, they would suddenly pop up and say, oh, I need this feature in the app.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I've heard this phrase so many times.
Because that's a problem for him. That's a problem. He is on the ground. He's not able to onboard the partner. That's a problem statement for him. Maybe it's one of a case. Maybe it's a bug, but it doesn't matter. Maybe it's not such a huge quantum of a problem, right? So as a product manager, to make that person understand, to explain him how a product lifecycle works, and when do we solve a problem at a product level, or when do we build a product to solve for such kind of problems, is a huge plus point for a product manager, right? Communication is everything a product manager has to do, right? I mean, the primary part what the product manager has to do. It's keeping his stakeholders aligned to communicate key why if we are not solving that problem, why are we not? What instead of that, what are we solving? And if we are solving for that XYZ other problem, how is it going to help him? The example I gave, if I am telling him, see, pair with me for the next 2 months, I may not be able to solve your problem, but be rest assured that after 2 months, I will have a best in class onboarding system for you where you may not even have to go on the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You tell me which should I do first. Right. So that is the kind of conversations we end up having. It's not as straightforward as I tell you. It's in closed rooms.
Yeah.
It is war of words.
People management. It's not math. It's not engineering.
Yeah.
It's people management, right?
It's people management. But the frameworks, I mean, since I was giving some stories, I went a bit deep. So the frameworks we follow usually is the moment we have this commitment of numbers and the P&Ls that have happened, we on the product side try to find out those leverages which are available to hit that metric. For example, if growth is the metric, right? If we say we are currently doing some 50,000 orders and we need to grow for some 200K orders, right? So then we come into considerations where we divide the initiatives equally between product and business, right? Where business can solve for new cities, right? Which is not, it doesn't require scale. It requires, what do you say? It requires more on-ground work to be done. It requires more service to be done or on-ground marketing to be done, visibility, etc. Right? I can do a lot of ads, but even a flyer in one particular location makes a huge difference.
Yep. Yep. For sure.
We divide these kind of leverages among ourselves, and we take up those leverages. For example, in again this case of new city launches, I'll tell them, I'll make a platform for you where on the click of a button you can launch any city. You don't have to give me configurations. You don't have to wait for my team to be free and commit a date for you saying, okay, after I give the configurations, maybe Apurva will come back after 1 month and say, please give me 1 more week. We are still working on it. Right. The moment business tells me, no, we want to expand into 15 more cities, I may say, okay, I have a leverage where I'll build a platform, which, I'll give you a front end where you just click the button and your new city is launched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So we identify these kind of leverages. Then since you want to grow, I'll make sure that every matchmaking I do, it is as accurate as possible so that the fulfillment percentage increases.
Yeah.
So these are two examples which I give. So once we have identified these kind of leverages, we have discussions, we have alignment with the business. They agree. I mean, as a product manager, you also have to own those metrics when you have those objectives in place. So once all the objectives are placed, then we go deep diving to understand what are the initiatives we can do to attain those metrics. So this is how we actually try to align the business folks. On the other side, when we go and speak to the tech guys, now it depends on what is the team size, what we can actually, though I have identified the leverages, I've committed the metrics, now I need to find what we can deliver. Yeah. So we have to do a rough estimate of t-shirt sizing with whatever bandwidth we have, or request additional bandwidth, etc. So we also have to do a planning accordingly so that whatever we have committed, either we deliver or we come back to the tables again and say, this is what we can deliver, and we rehaul the plan. So this is kind of the stakeholder management which happens to make sure the business, product, and technology don't lock ons at wrong points.
Yeah, I know, and it's kind of good that we took some time to talk about this in detail, because a lot of companies tend to miss on the fundamentals, that the time scale in which operations works and the time scale in which engineering works is very different. Like engineering is probably like the slowest moving cog in your entire wheel, and probably the highest leverage. Operations is probably like the fastest moving part in your entire machine, but the leverage is not that high. right?
It's not scalable after a moment.
Exactly. So the trick actually comes in is understanding where each person is actually coming from, doing some kind of like a people management and kind of like balance that effort. What you can actually do with just operations effort, what you can do with technology effort, and depending on what you're actually trying to do, the leverage, what you want to optimize could be very different, right? Yeah. So that's amazing. Just on a closing note,
Sure.
next for Porter.
Yeah, we are working on a couple of interesting things. I hope we'll, I'll be back on another podcast and we have completed those interesting things and I explain it.
Okay, you're hiding it. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward.
that's
We'll
a
do more
surprise for the next
podcast
time.
just for this.
Yeah.
It's very nice, man. Awesome. Cool, Apurva. Thank you so much for taking your time and joining our session. It was quite a blast. I had a really fun time. I'm always happy to talk about operations and supply chain. And you guys is one of the most interesting part of logistics, in my opinion. One of the most complicated part of it. It's just pure magic how when these things work. And you guys have built a fantastic team, built a fantastic service, and I'm so glad that you're able to share some of these details with us. Anything else you want to like say on a note of conclusion? Feel free.
Yeah, I mean, just as a conclusion, we are, as Porter, we are trying to become that ecosystem where, every intracity logistic is served for anybody who is just dependent on, who just wants anything to be moved anywhere inside the city, just open Porter. Apart from that, we are also trying to become sustainable by adding more EVs into our fleet. Just this year, we added around 2,000 EVs into our fleet. We are the largest
EV fleet.
marketplace where we have EVs, almost 4,000 EVs in our fleet.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's just one point I would like to add. That's the contribution Porter is doing on the green side of the globe.
That's awesome. That's really good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me on this call, on this podcast. It was fantastic to talk to you. Let's meet again. Bye.
Always nice to talk to you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. Have a good night. Thanks for joining in.